free Golden Eagles for War Thunder. Download the app in the description below. Hey guys, welcome back to War Thunder and welcome to some F8F-1B Bearcat gameplay. Today's video is surprisingly enough not going to be about side climbing, it's not going to be about any particular topic in the game. We're going to purely focus on this plane's performance and we're going to purely focus on the tactics used in this match. But I think if I had to title this video in a particular way, it would be relearning. Relearning and regaining confidence when flying with an aircraft you have not touched in over 6 months. I don't recall the last time I took out the F8F-1B. I do know that I had a fantastic match with it and it was also on rare, so I thought why not revisit this plane and see what it's capable of. The idea behind this match, I think, was to simply test how very capable the F8F Bearcat would be, but I had to relearn it. The guns are some that I'm not very familiar with. The only ANM3 experience I've had over the past couple of months has been with the F8F Cougar, and the Cougar has them mounted in the nose. So again, there's a difference. In the Cougar, I wasn't using stealth rounds. So I'm flying what I'd like to call blindly. I don't really know what to expect from the plane, so I thought let's try it as aggressively again. This is what I like to refer to as the naked flight, which means that you push the plane to its absolute limits, you fly like a maniac, and you see how the plane reacts. In the worst case scenario, you'll leave the match prematurely with no kills. In the best scenario, you'll end up on top of the team with 8 kills. And for those of you who are avid viewers of the channel, I would like to proceed to you a challenge. Hell, even if you're brand new here, I would like to offer to you to watch this video a couple of times. I want you to watch the different things that are going on, because there's so much that went throughout this match that there's no way I can cover it in one video. I think I could make 3 individual videos on 3 individual topics throughout how this match performed. I want you to notice the confidence level. Because at the start of this match, I'm all over the place. I'm not leading properly. I'm not performing the most optimal maneuvers, and I'm kind of testing to see how much the plane can really, well, how much you can squeeze out of it. And it's a pure case of not being familiar with the plane you're flying. As we start to reach the end of the video, you'll see that the confidence level slowly starts to raise, and you'll see that purely in the maneuvers I'm performing and also the amount of ammunition I'm wasting. It's very easy to see how confident somebody is if you notice every single parameter that's available for you on the screen. I think often people like to have the gameplay that's happening on the screen that's, visually explained, also explained in an audible sense, which means that you want me to explain to you exactly what's happening on the screen. And this is why I would like to propose a change. I would like you to try to focus on the gameplay and try to see what the thought process behind it is as I'm trying to guide you through the techniques and the maneuvers that I'm going to be performing, so I can kind of get the best of both worlds. Otherwise, I would have to approach the video from several perspectives and perhaps from several angles. This way, you can basically meet me halfway and make my job a little bit easier. Now, if I touch onto the Bearcat, this plane is one of those planes that kind of goes against the classic rule of an American boom and zoomer and becomes more of an energy fighter, and it's excellent at that state. The engine performance, the guns, the size of the aircraft, the maneuverability, the reaction time. The Bearcat is one of those planes where asking the question, what does it do well, is actually the wrong question. You should be asking yourself, what is it that it doesn't exceed at? And the answer is nothing. Everything it does is, well, above average or average, which is what really results into the aircraft being able to perform in the sense of, for example, aggressive flying, which is I like to exceed at a lot, pushing the limits, really, the boundaries of the map, far easier than in other aircraft. For example, the BF-19K4 that we were just passing by and missing our shots on is an aircraft that in certain cases is actually more powerful than the Bearcat. I'd say the guns can be much more pleasureful since they're mounted slightly closer to the fuselage. Obviously, certain things that we can debate, perhaps the climb rate, the top speed. But the BF-19, for example, cannot turn fight, especially not with gun pods on. And as such, it becomes a matter at hand where you have to ask yourself the question, is the Bearcat an aircraft that fits my playstyle? Yes, because it fits every playstyle. Does the BF-19 fit my playstyle? No, because it's a specific playstyle that should be attracted to the plane in order to make it work properly. And this is one of the advantages, as well as the disadvantages of the Bearcat. It becomes very attractive for people to try to fly it, because if I call it an easy mode plane, and I could, then you will foresee it as an aircraft that you can fly out as ever as you prefer, and do good in it. Plot twist, it won't happen. The Bearcat at 6.3 has a very variable matchmaker. Now, I just played one match here, and it was a mediocre down tier to an average matchmaker. If you get up tiered, you will be fighting in a lot of cases jets, and against jets, a slightly different tactic will apply. Suddenly, you're not the fastest plane at sea level anymore. Suddenly, you will be getting outrun by 262s. And that is where players are going to start to panic. They're going to start to panic when they suddenly see aircraft that visually might just outperform their Bearcat. Out of a general synopsis, though, the Bearcat might just be one of the best props, or super props, between the BRs of 6 and 6.7, alongside the Tempest Mark II, the Griffin Spitfires, and whatnot. It is a plane not to be meddled with, and I say that with real significance in mind, because the only thing Bearcat pilots tend to get scared of is jets. And you'd be surprised if I told you that the HE-162, the 262s, are actually inferior to the Bearcat, as if the Bearcat does one thing correctly, which is not committing in a head-on pass, it will outperform them. The only thing that the jets have above the Bearcat is their top speed. Everything else, the Bearcat will own them in. Now, in the background, you saw a very fast succession of 3 kills. I went head-on with a BF-19, took him out, eliminated the Focke-Wulf D9 that was on the 6 of my friendly, and executed the Dornier 335 after critically damaging him in a head-on pass. Head-ons are something that the Bearcat should do, but not do in a very concise manner, in the sense of that the guns are very powerful, but they are mounted in the wings, so a slight convergence will have to be taken into account. I would say practice a bit. From further distances, I think head-on passes can be quite substantially damaging, but again, committing with certain planes with nose-mounted guns, especially the MK108s and the MK103s, might not be the smartest move in the game. Now, the match has evolved rather quickly. We went from 1 kill to slowly stagnating up to 4 kills, and I feel a little bit more confident. I feel a little bit more familiar with the plane, but I'm now low on ammunition. Most of my team has resulted in killing ground targets. One of the Dorniers that are engaged early on is still chasing after our bombers, and the only target in close vicinity that's actually available on my altitude level is the BF-109 that got engaged previously. He's now chasing a Sterling, so I'm kind of doing the best of 2 worlds here, which is hopefully getting myself a quick kill with my 92 rounds, and saving the Sterling from being eliminated. Then I have to return back to my airfield, land, and hopefully be able to finish off the remainder of the enemy team. And to touch on to one of the last real advantages of the Bearcat, it has to be sea level top speed. It just accelerates like nothing else. It's easily reaching speeds exceeding 630 kilometers per hour, and to engage the BF-19K4 in front of me, of course he tries to put a head-on pass. It's simple for him, he's damaged. What do? I'm not going to commit to him. There's no point at this stage of the game, so I simply put a fake head-on pass in, I make sure he wastes a little bit of ammunition, he slows himself down just a little bit more, and a simple loop is going to seal the deal, really, to get back on his 6. And at this point, there's nothing he can do. He could try to force an overshoot, but at the speed he's traveling at, with the fact he's already been damaged, all I have to do is get his wings off target, and that will be our last kill for the first part of the match. This is where the problems start to fill in. This is where I've kind of reached the... I felt like I reached the cap. I felt like my confidence level in the plane has risen up to 100%, and there's nothing that can possibly surprise me. I forgot, however, that at the start of the match, there was one Focke-Wulf that has spent their entire time killing the AAA at our secondary base. And surprise, surprise, he's still there. And I got 2 main issues. The first one is that my amount of ammunition has been reduced to 37, which means I got a very short 1 to 1.5 second burst from the 4 guns. And that will be the least of my problems. My oil is starting to overcook. Now, oil overcooking, or overheating of water, is not an issue when you're returning back to base, because you know you're about to land and the heat is about to reset. But the Focke-Wulf is still in the area. So now I'm going head-to-head with an aircraft that probably still has more ammunition than me, and is definitely traveling faster. Bit of a problem. And to make matters worse, I try to fake a head-on pass, try to evade him, and he gets a very nice shot into me. The left section, inner section of the wing is damaged, which means that my maneuverability is going to be limited. The engines are still overcooking, and with the damage to the radiator, it's going to get progressively worse, and there are no teammates in the area. This is where the confidence of any player will go from 100% all the way back down to 0 or maybe 10. Now, I can call for backup, but what I have to do is I have to buy myself some time. The closest friendly is about 10 kilometers away. So I do a very dangerous technique with the damage that I've got currently in the engine going red, slightly orange. I put the D-13 into a very, very aggressive overshoot. I want him to slow the plane down so I can buy myself some time. And as he performs the overshoot, he starts to escape, as he probably felt like I would try to re-engage him. I did lay off a quick burst of about 10 shells, but again, from that distance, with the damage I have, I cannot do that. And then I notice a friendly Bearcat coming in. Enter the Bearcat pilot, and I know you're going to be watching this, bro. Thank you so much. I cannot explain how grateful I am to see players in this game using their eyes and reacting to when their teammates require help. Bro in this match didn't get to do much. I don't think he shot down a single plane at the end, but for me, the simple act of generosity by doing not much more than spraying a couple of shots and turning his smoke on to shoo the Focke-Wulf that had been strafing our secondary airfield ground targets, he bought me enough time to land, repair, and get back up into the air, and he refilled my confidence level to a good 50%, and pretty much gave me one of the greatest matches that I've ever had in the game, at least from a kill point of view. It was an absolute blast playing in this match, and seeing teamwork in the game is something that happens, in my opinion, relatively rarely, but when it does happen, it's a pleasureful sight to see. And with this landing and kind of reinstatement of my confidence, this is where I took a different approach to the remainder of the match. Now, I do have a couple of bombers still alive on the team. I'm not going to rely on them. I have a couple of fighters, but it is more or less a 1-to-1 match scenario. The Bearcat just landed. The Spitfire, one of them is roughly somewhere in the vicinity. The other one is still killing ground targets. There's not much for me to rely on at this point, and I know that Bro in his Bearcat is probably not going to get to take off until at least 30 seconds after me, at which time I'm probably going to be a good 7 kilometers away from him. And then the Spitfire, that hasn't done anything this match, but was still one of the only players I could rely on, as the other Spitfire is running out of ammunition killing ground targets, and the Bearcat is still landed on the airfield repairing. I'm now in a 1v1 against a BF-109 at higher altitude. Now, if he knows what he's doing, all he has to do is force me into a stall, or keep his altitude, and boom and zoom me. Instead, the BF-109 does something that I didn't expect. And what he does is he goes for the easier kill. He doesn't go for the Spitfire that is clearly out of ammunition. He doesn't go for me that just took off. Instead, he focuses on, you guessed it, Bro. Now, Bro is still sitting on the runway, he's still repairing, he's about to start taking off, and the BF-109 is closing in rapidly. It took me a while to notice this, because for me, I thought, surely the BF-109 will go after me, kill me, zoom back up, and then re-engage the F8F on the runway. No, he went straight for the easiest kill out of the three of us. So now it's kind of a matter of ticking clock. I'm trying to retain a little bit of altitude, about 1 kilometer, and try to save Bro before the BF-109 can reach him, but at 3 kilometers distance, almost 4, there's no way I can reach the BF-109 before his shells reach the Bearcat. And then I see the smoke. I knew exactly what Bro was doing, and just look at it. Simple, flawless, side turn, the BF-109 overshoots, he misses all of his shells, and instead of going back up into a zoom, he goes into a slight turn, wastes all his energy, the Bearcat doesn't lose energy that much in a slight turn, especially not after a slight dive, and that just raised my confidence level from what was at the start of the match 0, slowly came to 100, that was lowered back down by the D9 that was strafing our ground targets, or the D13, and boosted it back up to a full 100%. Now I know where I can find the enemies, I know at what altitude they're going to be, and I also know what vehicles they're in. And there's a very important reason why I decided to focus on confidence in this particular video. Because I find confidence to be something that people lack, not just in War Thunder, but also in real life. But we're not here to do a psychological motivational speech. The trick about confidence is that it can be manufactured. In certain cases, you could fake confidence from something like as simple to explain as a head-on pass. A fake head-on pass is a clear case of confidence. You're confident enough that the enemy player will not be able to put shots into your target. Now, I do not think that confidence is something that everybody should show at all times, but I do think that confidence is something worth playing around with. And there will come a time when you've played the game for so long, and you're aware of the enemy vehicles you're fighting against, and you know that you are simply in a better plane. And right now, I know that neither the D13 nor the Dornier 335 are going to be imposing much of a problem. Even though there's two of them I just went through 6 other players. And the confidence level that I got from the teamwork by Bro and from the overall experience of this match has led me to believe that there's really not much this plane can't do against a Dornier and a D13. But it's not over yet, because both the Dornier and the D13 have a little ace up their sleeve. It's called the airfield. And if I come anywhere close to the main airfield on which they actually landed, I'll get shot down. So it's time to take that 100% confidence and cash it in for an extremely profitable technique, which is called approaching the enemy from below. I'm above them. And being above the enemy is usually something that everybody strives for because it's clearly an advantage. Let me tell you something about the spotting system. It works better from below than it works from above, meaning a player diving down on you is going to be easier to spot than a person who's coming down from below you and going up into a climb. Not to mention that the actual closure rate becomes more optimal as the plane will reach its optimal performance. If you're diving down, your plane can compress. If you're coming out of a dive and going into a climb at the enemy player, you're going to be slowing down just enough for your plane to reach optimum maneuverability, and you're going to have the option to keep guns on target for longer. I dive down, I'm going at a good solid 800 kilometers per hour. This is just how fast this plane will go. It's insanely fast. And they have no clue what's coming up for them. They're probably looking up at the sky, they're trying to... I like to refer to War Thunder spotting as find the grey dot or the grey pixel in the blue sky. Right now, they're trying to find the grey pixel on the green background. There's no way they can see this one coming. The Dornier is completely oblivious. As he sees me, it's too late. I sear off his wing, and I could have let him slowly fall from the sky, but I was in the element, simply take him out. The D13 at this point turns around. I put him into a simple defensive maneuver. He goes up into a modest turn. Remember, I still have enough speed for the optimum maneuverability. The Focke-Wulf is done with. He simply hasn't got the energy to do anything, really. And now Bro's come in, so it's a 2 versus 1. It's game over. And the reason I say this, the reason I kind of like to combine technique with confidence is because you can't fly without confidence. If you're not confident, you will have the experience of coming to the peak of the match, and you're going to get sweaty hands, you're going to get nervous, and you're probably going to screw things up because you simply are too anxious to do what you really want to do. And with a bit of fake confidence boost, if required, you can reach that extra little bit of performance from the pilot's perspective as the plane. The plane could be good. You could be flying the greatest aircraft in the game. You could be firmly believe that the aircraft you're flying is extremely good. The vehicle will only be as good as the person who's sitting in the control. And to wrap this video up, this was meant to be really the eye candy for the average player, but if you want to see more of an in-depth tactic review of how you can approach different players to have the maximum performance or the maximum confidence in the particular dogfight, do let me know in the comment section below. I am interested in perhaps doing an actual video series on tactics themselves, but I have to look into it a bit more to really figure out how I want to do it or what I want to call it. Definitely was a blast to play, and I think the Bearcat is something I will come back to more often. I might even give it a try in ground force to see how it performs there. And yeah, don't be too surprised if another video pops up in the not so near future. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, hope you have a fantastic time, and I'm going to catch you in the next one.